What's up, everyone? It's Scotty with MoneyVest. So markets here selling off pretty aggressively. We've got the NASDAQ here dropping a little bit over 1%. We got the S&P down about 70, 80 basis points, and the Dow Jones also dropping almost 200 points on the day today. So we're going to talk about some individual stocks. We're going to take a look at the macros. We'll go over the technicals as well. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The first week of the month is the best time to join if you want to be a part of our MoneyVest community and, of course, get access to all the educational benefits, material, intrinsic value, and, of course, the private members-only videos and the buy and sell alerts as well. Now, if we can get over 520 likes on this video, I will be doing a complete analysis on the ARM IPO. So ARM, as we know, is going to be the biggest technology IPO this year at a valuation of $52 billion, and they are going to debut on the NASDAQ stock exchange in the coming weeks. So if you guys want a video, full detailed analysis on the company, we'll go over the valuation, we'll go over the intrinsic value, we'll go over the technicals for when it starts trading. All we have to do is achieve 520 likes in this video, and once we get to that level, I will definitely be doing a video on ARM Holdings in the coming weeks. Now, Apple, Google, NVIDIA, Samsung, AMD, Intel, Cadence, Synopsys, Samsung, and TSMC are all companies that have expressed interest in buying some ARM shares as part of the company's initial public offering. So it may not just be these companies, it may be also us that might be expressing our interest in buying, but we have to figure out the right valuation. So again, if you want that video to be uploaded as soon as possible, 520 likes. So drop a like on this video. So first things first, NVIDIA here selling off, Apple down 4.2%. That's a pretty sizable move for Apple, right? Because it's a $3 trillion company. So, 4% move shaves off like $130 billion in market cap. That's equivalent to almost 2 PayPals, right? So that's a pretty sizable sell-off in Apple. And these percentage gains and losses are all relative, right? I mean, for NVIDIA, a 3.2% loss today is now pretty sizable. For 5 years ago, 3.2% sell-off or 3.2% rally, nobody would bat an eye because it was such a small company. So these percentage gains and losses are all relative. And yes, on the paper, they may look small, like 3%, 4%, who really cares? But that's big amounts of money, right? Entering the market or leaving the market. That's huge amounts of liquidity getting put to use or being taken out of the market, right? That's how we have to start thinking about when we are looking at liquidity. And of course, Amazon, Tesla, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Qualcomm, AMD, Apple, Microsoft, all the big techs were selling off. Walmart doing slightly better. Energy was slightly better because, again, oil prices have been pushing higher. This right here is the entire market. So more or less a very, very flat / mixed day for the entire market. But of course, more specifically, the NASDAQ was the one struggling. So technology, comm services, and cyclicals, 3 of the main big tech sectors, that includes all of your FANG stocks in big tech, selling off on the day. In the last 1 week, energy still the clear winner. In the last 1 month, energy still the clear winner at the moment. Orange juice prices continue to push higher, so orange juice for the win. We got oats, we got wheat prices, we got gasoline, crude oil, soybeans, lumber prices all pushing higher, with sugar prices, silver, platinum, cotton, and natural gas selling off, with Ether trading just over 1630 and Bitcoin a little bit over 25,000 as well. So stocks sold off Wednesday, continuing the sluggish start to September. So September seasonality might be here. And there are concerns mounting the Federal Reserve may not be done hiking interest rates. Well, welcome to the conversation, everyone. I've been talking about this for quite some time, as the Federal Reserve has already penciled in another 25 basis points. We're going to get another summary of economic projections later this month, but the market continues to disagree with the Fed's projections, and we continue to believe that the Federal Reserve is going to pause at these levels, no longer hike rates, and we're going to stay at these prices up until at least June of next year is when the rate cuts begin, and the market's expecting at least 4 rate cuts in 2024. But the bottom line is that the market's pretty certain that the Federal Reserve is not going to raise rates anymore, and we are going to stay at these levels for the remainder of this year. Now, again, we're going to find out eventually if the market's correct in this analysis, or if the Federal Reserve is going to continue to put more gas to the fire, and of course continue to raise interest rates, right? Maybe 25 basis points is on the table. Something that I've mentioned before is that it is possible that the Federal Reserve does raise rates by another 25 basis points, if not by 50, right? So core inflation is what they're watching, and core inflation is still above 4%, still twice as much the Fed's target. So if that's not back down to the Fed's target soon enough, 25 basis points is likely. Now, going over to the markets, again, the Dow here selling off. We just closed about 3 minutes ago, but we got the Dow Jones here dropping about 200 points. We got the NASDAQ down over 1%, S&P down about 70 basis points. We did see a little bit of a recovery intraday. So after around lunchtime, we did start to see the markets move back higher. But the overall technical trend is very interesting now, and there are very key levels to watch for the market for us to better understand whether this is leading to a technical reversal or if it's just a small setback in the overall context of an uptrend, which again I covered in one of my previous videos, so make sure that you do check that out to get more context with respect to where we are in this overall trend for the market. So I highly encourage you guys to check out that video. Crude oil, on the other hand, almost approaching $88 a barrel. In fact, it did eclipse over $80 a barrel on the day today, up another 1%. On the week, it's up 5%. Actually, on the month, it is up 5%. So this, I feel like nobody's talking about this, and I was talking to one of our members about this very topic, which is oil prices and why there's no headlines. It makes a lot of sense because nobody, right, especially under the current administration, again, I'm not going to get too political here, but nobody wants to talk about rising oil prices because nobody wants to talk about the potential increase in gas prices. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that you are going to be paying more in gas prices at the pump 3 weeks from now or 1 month from now because oil prices are going higher. That's not good, right? People are going to get pissed. People are going to get frustrated again. And that's not politically favorable. Not only that, even the large companies, right? Chevron, Exxon, I mean, they are, lobbying so much, of course, so much of their, money and so much of their initiatives that they don't want to basically make it seem like oil prices are going higher because, of course, they profit a lot. So there is definitely a very political narrative to the fact that oil prices going up is not being discussed enough. And that is most certainly going to put a lot of impact on inflation if and when the time comes. Because, us getting to the highest level in 2023 and going back to the same level from back in October and November last year, it's not something that you don't ignore, right? And it's not something that you don't hear about. It's pretty apparent that the last 4 months, oil prices have been going higher. And they have literally just climbed back up from $64 to now over $87. So they have rallied almost 40%. And one of the big reasons why headline inflation was trending lower was on the back of energy prices coming down. Well, that's starting to reverse now. So we'll find out in the next couple of prints of inflation. And again, the move that we're seeing this month in September is not going to be reflected until later, the report that we get in October for the month of September. So something to keep in mind. And again, it's not great news that prices are going higher for crude, but of course that's all on the back of supply cuts and production cuts from Saudi Arabia and Russia. Ether here 1630 right now. Again, getting rejected at that resistance 1738, and Bitcoin also very much at that support at 25,000, just really trading sideways. Pretty much given back on all the gains that it had after the Grayscale won the lawsuit against SEC to be reconsidered for the spot Bitcoin ETF, but nonetheless just trading sideways at that support. Now going over to the S&P 500, so this right here is the entire analysis. We are still validating that support. So even on the day, you'll notice that we bounced off perfectly from that 44.50, 44.46 support that we pointed out in one of our previous market updates. So that all resistance is now starting to act as a support. However, we are making a very nice lower high, which I mentioned again in my previous videos on the technical analysis, the technical trend for the market. So again, I highly recommend you guys check that out if you have the time. But this is the support at 44.50. If you do get a breakdown below this, then the next most critical level is going to be 43.30. And of course, if you do get a breakdown below this, then officially we'd be in a downtrend because not only we would be making a lower high, but we'd also be making a lower low for the S&P. Talking about the NASDAQ, and NASDAQ again in a very similar situation with a lower high. So we are definitely making a lower high here, and it kind of almost already did make a lower low. So again, the question is going to be whether this level continues to hold up at 13,000. But the moment we break down below 13K is the moment we officially, in my opinion at least, from a technical perspective, begin a downtrend for the markets, the NASDAQ more specifically. Now going over to Apple, and again, more details covered in that other video. Apple had a pretty sizable decline here on the day, so pretty significant red candle, I'm not going to lie, 3.5% down, $2.86 trillion market cap, so back below 3 trillion. And the next support really is going to be 178. So this right here is going to be that support level to watch for Apple. Let's see if there's any specific catalyst. Apple tests limits for most expensive iPhones. So the tech company is expected by analysts to raise prices by as much as $100 for some updated models of its flagship device when it unveils the iPhone 15 at an annual promotional event set for Tuesday. So next week, of course, we know that Apple's going to release the new iPhone 15. I'm actually planning to upgrade to the 15 Pro. But again, depends on the price, right? I mean, if they're starting to release at these ridiculous prices, then I'm happy with my 11. I'll straight go for 16 next year. But basically, you know, for the first time since 2017, the average selling price of the iPhone in the US declined to $940 in June quarter, lower than the same period last year. And in March quarter, the research firm said iPhone sales fell 2.4% in the quarter ending in July 1st, slightly missing analyst expectations. So we'll see. We'll see what iPhone 15 price point looks like, what the specs look like. And for the most part, we know that, you know, the spec increases have only been marginal for each iPhone. So it doesn't really make sense to upgrade every single year. It's more like a 4 to 5 year upgrade cycle now for most consumers, right? Think about it. I mean, I don't know if you're upgrading your iPhone every single year, but for me, I'm doing it every 4 to 5 years. I went from a 7 to 11, and now I'm going from 11 to potentially a 15, but depends very much if the price is right. If it's too expensive, I'm happy with my phone. I'm going to work it out and use it for another year and maybe go for a 16. But needless to say, I mean, valuation we've already talked about. The company Apple is considered as a safe haven. It's looked at as one of the most highest quality stocks out there. Support level is going to stay put down to 176, and I'm watching a very strong support at around 157, 158 to go long from a swing trading perspective, and of course, $2 cost average in the 120s as that's part of my intrinsic value. Talking about Amazon. And Amazon also starting to show signs of weakness here. It's still at this higher low, so this is considered as an uptrend right now for Amazon. It's still trading, inside this uptrending channel of higher highs and higher lows. But the moment we break down below this higher low, the next support is going to be down to 126. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do end up trading at those levels. And resistance obviously is going to stay put down up to 146 for Amazon moving forward. Talking about Tesla here, and Tesla here down about 1.78% and still validating this support in the 250s. So we're not really breaking down below this level. In fact, actually that level is going to be at 240s. And you'll notice the last 3 to 4 days, we've just been trading sideways. Red day, green day, red day, green day, and it's just been back and forth while support level continues to validate at 240, which was, again, previous support, previous resistance, now acting as a support once again. So you guys already know what my plan is with Tesla. I've already got covered calls, planning on sell puts. The moment it breaks below 200, my fair value is going to be down to 150s. We'll be looking dollar cost average at those levels, but right now just simply holding and trading options and generating premiums. That's about it. Talking a little bit about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA on the day is starting to pull back a little bit, down 3%. Nothing crazy, but still pretty much at an all-time high, trading just under 470. This right here is the gap that it would eventually need to come down and fill, in my opinion, from the earnings that it's left. And of course, I don't have to mention it, but there is a pretty significant negative divergence playing through for NVIDIA, with the RSI here basically showing signs of lower highs, and the price itself continues to make higher highs. So there is a bit of a negative divergence right now for NVIDIA, so I'd just be careful considering the valuation's way too high, and support level down to 400s is what I'm watching for NVIDIA at the moment. Talking about advanced micro devices, and AMD here selling off 1.3%, $109. And again, it is a little bit of a small downtrend, very, very small lower high and lower low here. So this right here is a little bit of a downtrend within which AMD continues to trade, but we're also in the context of this overall uptrend. So we've got a bigger uptrend and a smaller downtrend. So the more important level is going to be this higher low. So this confluence of support at 106, that's the level to watch. We did kind of break down below $100, came down to $99, $98 last week of August. So the next time we do that, I wouldn't be surprised if we break down this time below $99 and potentially make our way down to my fair value, which is going to be in the low 80s. And that's going to be Christmas. PayPal here on the day also starting to pull back down about 1.5%, so pulling right back down. Got a gap to fill after the earnings that it's left. We got a big resistance at $69.70. Support level is going to stay put down to $57.50. And of course, we've seen a bit of a reversal after the oversold RSI and MACD, but still no momentum, no volume, still waiting on the fundamental updates. And of course, Alex Cross taking over. I can't remember what his last name is, but basically him taking over PayPal and giving us some guidance as to what the future looks like for this company. Square, on the other hand, got a downgrade today, I believe. I think it got downgraded by one of the analysts. But nonetheless, Block, we do have a trade idea on this still. It is getting rejected at its 21 EMA without even showing up. I already knew that it's already getting rejected at its 21 EMA because we talked about it. And you'll notice the high for the day, 59.72, 21 EMA, 59.75, right? So pinpointed off by 3 cents, getting rejected, getting sold off intraday from those levels. And that's a rejection point, right? So as soon as it breaks above $60, I have no doubt that Block is going to work out to the upside, and that next target and resistance is going to be at $67. But the main key hurdle is breaking above that 21 EMA past $60. Talking about Meta platforms here, and Meta starting to, once again, red candle, trading sideways, consolidating a little bit. This is going to be either a resistance or a support right now at around $299, close to $300. We're slightly below $300 at the moment. Support level is going to stay put down to $257. With a resistance all the way up to as much as $326 to as much as $351 for Meta platforms. I like the company. I own the company a little bit. Obviously, I've trimmed down significantly, but that's only because of the valuation, because of the price that it's trading at, and I'm a lot more comfortable, of course, owning sub 200, maybe even closer to 150s for Meta. Talking a little bit about Netflix here now. Netflix continues to trade sideways, so we did see a very nice rally for the last 2 to 4 days, but now coming up to its resistance at 458 and getting a little bit of that rejection at those prices, and support level is going to stay put down to 410, 411. So lots of consolidation sideways for Netflix in between that range at the moment, and that's exactly what we're watching, with a resistance at 458 and a support sitting roughly at 410 for the company. Next one on the list is going to be Google, and Google, my call expires in September 15th, so next week, next Friday is when that expires, and my strike's at 135. So it's possible that I end up back out of the money if it drops 37 cents. So we are certainly starting to show signs of some weakness here, and Google, obviously, next target resistance was going to be at 144, but it is now starting to pull right back down. Support level is going to stay put down to 131, 132, all the way down to as low as 127 for Google. So those right there are going to be a couple of support levels to watch. And ideally, if it does break below 135 again, and so close to expiration, my option is going to be moving like crazy, and the premium is going to be changing wildly up and down. So I'll be looking to close that option if I am up over 80% on that call. Next one on the list is going to be Microsoft, and Microsoft here consolidating sideways, so not really moving all that much, down about 20 basis points. Support level is going to stay put at 314 with a resistance up to 351 for the company, and a lot of consolidation sideways. So not really moving all that much, not a lot for us to go over for this stock. Enphase took a beating today, down 3.7%, getting rejected at 128. So this right here is a resistance and definitely selling off quite aggressively. We are still kind of hovering around that good deal area. And I think the 21 EMA or might have been the 9 EMA that kind of rejected us a little bit there. We go. So 9, both basically, 9 and 5 EMA, or 21 and the 9 EMA, both rejecting the price action for Enphase, and of course selling right back down. So the trend very much to the downside. There is bullish divergence forming right now for Enphase, so I continue to remain confident over the long-term trajectory of this company. And last but not least, we got Shopify. And Shopify, once again, getting a bit of that rejection flat on the day, so not really moving all that much. Support level is going to stay put down to 54 with a resistance at 66. Oversold, it was, but now it's very overbought. The RSI over 66, and the MACD also pushing higher. So be careful with this company to the upside. So that's going to be the entire update on the market. I already covered the technical trends for the market and how it's, far more difficult to spot a trend reversal. So definitely do check out that video if you have the time. But thank you so much for joining. And don't forget, 520 likes on this video, and an ARM Holdings IPO video will be coming out very soon. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you all. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.